Hello friends, I am Manish Maharshi, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Government, Dunga College, Bikaner. In this video, we will discuss the poem Andre del Sarto. We have already discussed half of this poem, and you already know that Andre del Sarto is a dramatic monologue by Robert Browning. He is a famous Victorian poet, and he is the best craftsman of dramatic monologues. In this dramatic monologue, Andre del Sarto, Andre is the speaker, and Lucrezia, his wife, is there, and they had a fight, and now Andre is looking over or glossing over his life and trying to find out the reasons why he as a painter has been mediocre. He never shined, he never gained the height which other of his contemporary artists achieved, and most famously Raphael and the other one Angelo. He compares himself with these two painters and says that they achieved the great heights in their paintings because they had an ability to move into the divine imagination which is not given to himself, and he calls himself a, a painter who has the ability of drawing lines without any fault. That's why Robert Browning has subtitled this poem The Faultless Painter. Now we have seen that Andre is an egoistic personality, and he is not ready to take the responsibility of his failure as an artist on himself. Instead, he is looking outside on some other factors that might have been responsible for his failure as an artist. And most importantly, he says that it was God's wish that he should be a mediocre or a common painter. And soon he starts blaming and complaining Lucrezia that she has not supported him enough. She has not taken interest in his paintings and in his craft and art enough. That's why he never achieved the height and the glory in his art. He also says that Lucrezia is a beautiful woman, and she, with her beauty, allured and charmed Andre, and out of that charmed, she always wanted the materialistic thing in this world, the things which are harmful or which protects him from achieving the great heights. She never wanted the divine, the great height from him. Instead, she wanted the materialistic things, the money, house, and other things which are basically hindering Andre. He feels that they are hindering him, and he was not able to take the flights of greatness. So now we will resume the poem Andre del Sarto from the next stanzas. Now, first I will read the text and then we will discuss the poem. Well may they speak that Francis, that first time, in that long festal year at Fontainebleau, I surely then could sometimes leave the ground, put on the glory Raphael's Delivier, in that humane great monarch's golden look, one finger in his beard or twisted curl, over his mouth's good mark that made the smile, one arm about my shoulder, round my neck, the jingle of his gold chain in my ear, I painting proudly with his breath on me, all his coat round him, saying with his eyes, such frank French eyes, and such a fire of souls. Profuse my hand kept plying by those hearts, and best of all, this face beyond, this in the background, waiting on my work to crown the issue with a last reward. Andre in the previous stanza confessed that he is not able to leave the house out of fear that he may chancingly meet the king's men, because he has stolen the money or misused the money given by king to him to decorate his court, but instead of decorating the court he built his own house. So he says that he was afraid to move out of his house because the king's men or the person, the world outside knows about this thing and they taunt him, and that taunt is intolerable for him. Now Andre says that now it does not matter what they speak, as he remembers his golden days when he was invited into the French court to paint when the long festal year was celebrated in Fontainebleau in the France by French king. There Andre remembers and feels a nostalgia that during that period of his life he was also able to take the long flights of divine imagination, as he compares his flights metaphorically with the garb and says that he also used to wear the garb of glory sometimes, which was the daily wear of Raphael. He means that often in those days he was used to have those divine visions. He also painted in accordance to those divine imagination. Re- Sometimes even he was able to take the flight, which was a common or a daily thing for Raphael and Angelo. Andre recaptures the moment, saying that he used to paint in front of that very kind French king Francis I, who really appreciated his art. Andre portrays the exact picture of that time, saying that the French king has appreciation in his eyes, and one of his hand is in the curls of his mustache or at times in his beard, and another hand around his shoulder and round his neck. Andre wants to present the French king as a very kind and humble man who, when appreciates someone, takes no care of his rank. Andre sees on the face of the French king that there was a mark of smile which made him look good. The French king came so close to him that Andre, while painting the pictures, can hear the jingling of the gold chain and that the king is wearing, and he can also feel the breath of the French king on himself. The whole of the court also had the same appreciation for Andre as king had. Andre says that the French king has frank eyes, and the people in the court had fire in their soul, by which he means that the French king was very open and frank in presenting his appreciation for him. He was not the kind of person who will hide his likeness for something, and the people of the court had the real understanding and appreciation for good art. And due to their appreciation, warm applause, Andre's hand kept taking the great flights of imagination and painted out of that divine spark. Andre says that the most important and the real reward was this face of Lucrezia, which was in the background of his mind, who was waiting for him. So she is the most important reward for him, the ultimate, the crown reward. Now, it is very important to understand that human character is very difficult to understand on the surface level. We have to delve a little deeper, a little into the psyche of that man to understand what he or she is saying and how he really is. If we notice that Andre's mind is deceiving himself. Andre's mind can be known by what actually he notices around himself, what puts him awake, and what are the things that triggers him most. Andre says that in French court, while painting before the French king and his administrators, he used to have those flights of divine glory and spark. But when we see that here in the court, what he feels the most is the appreciation of the court and most importantly the French king. And when French king was near him while he was painting, he was engrossed in the work of art. He was able to hear the jingling of his gold chain, which shows that there was attraction of gold in the subconscious mind of Andre, and for him king's appreciation is most important because he can give him rewards in monetary terms. And another thing to notice is that while he was painting, completely engrossed and taking the divine flight, still he says that in the background of his mind there was the face of Lucrezia. So we can see why his art does not achieved that great height and that that mark in the field of art, because he remained only a journal craftsman, whereas if we notice Raphael or any other great artist, we will see that he or she becomes completely oblivious of the outward things, at least while he is creating his piece of art. Thus, reasons are not far to seek why Andre was not able to succeed as a great artist in the field of painting. And most important thing is that Andre is not able to see why he failed. He is not able to see that he was in his mind, he was he was interested in money, he was interested in the appreciation instead of art. His most more important thing for him is the appreciation of the other people. He is not able to forget the other people. So there is a kind of burden, there is a kind of heaviness to make other people feel great for his art. In the next stanza, Andre says that a good time was it not, my kingly days, and had you not grown restless, but I know it is done and past. It was right, my instinct said, to live the life grew golden and not grey, and I am the weak eyed bat no sun should tempt. Out of the grange whose four walls make his world, how could it end in any other way? Andre, in these lines, with the feeling of satisfaction and nostalgia, says that those were his kingly days. He was at the height of his artistic creativity and at the peak where he was appreciated everywhere. And he puts the blame of why those days ended, why he was not able to carry on those golden days on Lucrezia. He says that it was Lucrezia who became restless and asked him to come back, and for her he left that coat and returned to her. He says that, but I know it is done and past, means that now what is gone, and it is over and a thing of past. Suddenly he moves over his statement as if afraid that Lucrezia will object, so he does not elaborate on this and says it is done and past. He feels that what he has done was right, and his instinct said him to return to Lucrezia. It was instinctive for him to leave the palace, for that palace belongs for those who want to see the golden light, not the twilight and greyness. And Andre compares himself to a weak eyed bat whom not bright light should tempt, who belongs to a closed place like some garage, and that makes his whole world. So he remarks in a way of certainty that this was how his life should end. This is how his life should have been, because he is a man who is not able to to vision envision for himself the bright, the golden light of glory. Thank you, friends. Now in the next video we will start the remaining part of this poem. So see you in the next video. Thank you.